Rain slammed against the windshield so hard that Marcus Hale could barely see the road ahead. The old 18-wheeler rattled beneath him while Highway 27 stretched endlessly through the darkness of southern Georgia. It was 1:07 in the morning, and for the first time in 11 years of trucking, Marcus seriously considered turning around and abandoning a delivery. Something about the trailer behind him felt wrong. The load had come from a private shipping yard outside Atlanta. No company logos. No paperwork except a destination address near the Florida border. The dispatcher had promised triple pay for delivering it before sunrise. But the strange part wasn't the money. It was a warning attached to the cargo papers. Do not open the trailer. Marcus had transported dangerous chemicals before. Military equipment, too. Weird instructions were normal in trucking. Still, this felt different, because 20 minutes earlier, he had started hearing breathing behind him. Slow, heavy, like enormous lungs filling the inside of the trailer. Marcus tightened his grip on the steering wheel and turned the radio louder. Old country music crackled through static while rain flooded the highway. "You're exhausted," he muttered to himself. Then the CB radio suddenly hissed alive. "Driver, do you copy?" Marcus grabbed the microphone quickly. "Yeah. Who's this?" Static crackled violently. Then a weak voice whispered, "Don't stop the truck." The signal died instantly. Marcus frowned. Crazy people. But seconds later, thump, the trailer shook behind him. Marcus looked into the side mirror. Another thump echoed from inside the container. Cargo shifted all the time. Nothing unusual. Then came the sound again. A long inhale. "Ah-hea." Marcus felt cold spread through his chest. "Nope." He pressed harder on the gas pedal. The breathing continued. Steady, patient, almost human. 20 minutes later, Marcus spotted a lonely roadside diner glowing beside the highway through the rain. The neon sign flickered weakly. Mayflower Diner. Relief flooded him instantly. He pulled into the muddy parking lot and killed the engine. Silence. Then, bang. Something slammed against the inside of the trailer, so hard the entire truck shook. Marcus froze. Another bang followed. The trailer doors bulged outward for half a second. His heart pounded violently. No way! He climbed out slowly into the freezing rain and stared toward the back of the truck. The breathing was louder outside, much louder. Ah-heh. Marcus stepped closer. Dark liquid dripped from beneath the trailer doors onto the wet pavement. At first he thought it was oil. Then lightning flashed. The liquid was black-red. Blood. Marcus backed away instantly. A scratching sound dragged slowly across the inside walls of the trailer. Like claws. He hurried toward the diner entrance. Inside, warm air and burnt coffee smell wrapped around him. 3 truck drivers sat quietly inside while an old waitress cleaned glasses behind the counter. But the moment Marcus entered, everyone looked toward the windows behind him, toward his truck. The waitress stopped moving completely. "Oh, God," she whispered. Marcus frowned. "What?" One of the truckers stood up slowly. He looked around 60 years old with tired eyes and a gray beard. "Where'd you pick up that trailer?" Marcus hesitated. "Atlanta Shipping Yard." The old man looked terrified. "You need to leave." Marcus laughed nervously. "Okay, why is everybody acting weird?" The waitress walked closer carefully. "Did they tell you the rules?" "What rules?" Nobody answered immediately. Rain hammered against the windows while thunder rolled outside. Finally, the old trucker spoke. "If you hear breathing, don't open the trailer." Marcus stared at him. "How did you know about that?" Another loud bang shook the parking lot outside. Everyone flinched. The old trucker lowered his voice. 3 drivers disappeared carrying that thing. Marcus shook his head. "You people are insane." The waitress handed him a folded paper with shaking hands. "Read it." Marcus unfolded it slowly. Rule number 1, never stop after 3 a.m. Rule number 2, if the breathing stops, run. Rule number 3, do not answer when it speaks. Rule number 4, never look inside the trailer. Marcus looked back up. This some kind of joke? Nobody smiled. Then the diner lights flickered. Once, twice. Outside, the breathing suddenly became louder. "Ha-ha." Marcus slowly turned toward the parking lot window. One of the trailer doors bent outward slightly from the middle. Something huge pushed against it from inside. Then, the breathing stopped. Every trucker inside the diner went pale. The old man whispered one word. "Run." A soft voice suddenly came from outside. Marcus. His blood froze. Emily, his wife. Marcus slowly turned toward the trailer. "Please help me." Tears filled his eyes instantly. Emily had died 2 years ago. But that voice, it sounded exactly like her. The old trucker grabbed Marcus's arm. "Don't listen." Outside, the trailer rattled softly. "Marcus, it's cold in here." Marcus's legs felt weak. He stepped toward the door anyway. The waitress blocked him immediately. "That thing reads your guilt." Marcus pushed past her. "No, that's my wife." Rain poured over him as he walked toward the truck. The parking lot looked empty, except for the breathing trailer beneath flashing lightning. "Emily," he whispered. The voice answered instantly. "Yes." Something scratched softly behind the trailer doors. "Please let me out." Marcus reached trembling fingers toward the metal latch. Then lightning flashed again, and for one horrifying second, he saw human shapes moving beneath the metal walls of the trailer, like trapped bodies pressing from inside. Marcus stumbled backward in horror. The trailer inhaled deeply. "Ha ha ha." Then every voice inside screamed together at once. "Open the door." Marcus ran back into the diner, soaked by rain and breathing hard. The truckers immediately locked the front door, while the waitress pulled down the window blinds with shaking hands. "What I asked that thing?" Marcus shouted. The old trucker grabbed a revolver from beneath the counter. "It doesn't matter. You need to get back on the road." Outside, thunder exploded over the highway. Then came a loud metallic screch. Marcus looked toward the windows. One of the trailer doors had started bending outward from the middle. Something inside was forcing its way through. The waitress whispered nervously, "It's waking up faster than usual." Marcus stared at her. "You people knew about this?" Before anyone could answer, Emily's voice came again from outside. "Marcus." His chest tightened painfully. "Why did you leave me alone?" Marcus shut his eyes. It sounded perfect. Every detail. Every breath. The old trucker stepped in front of him. "That thing pulls memories out of people. Don't answer it." Another violent bang shook the diner walls. The lights flickered again. Then everything went dark. Someone screamed. Only lightning flashes lit the room for seconds at a time. Marcus heard movement outside. Something dragging slowly across the parking lot. "Scrape, scrape." The waitress whispered from the darkness. "Don't look outside." Marcus looked anyway, and instantly regretted it. A tall figure stood beside the truck. Its body looked human, but wrong in every possible way. Its arms hung too long. Its joints bent backward. Pale skin stretched tightly over moving shapes beneath. And its face kept changing. A child, an old man, a woman, then Emily. The creature smiled using her face. The diner windows exploded inward. Glass flew everywhere as people screamed and dropped to the floor. The creature's arms stretched unnaturally through the broken window toward Marcus. Bang! The old trucker fired instantly. The creature recoiled with a horrifying scream that sounded like hundreds of voices layered together. "Move!" the waitress shouted. Everyone rushed through the diner kitchen toward the back exit, while the creature clawed its way through the shattered front windows. Marcus heard bones cracking behind him, like the thing's body was constantly reshaping itself. They burst outside into heavy rain behind the diner, where an old blue semi-truck waited near the swamp. The old trucker jumped into the driver's seat. "Everybody in." Marcus climbed inside, while the waitress slammed the passenger door shut. The engine roared alive. Then the creature dropped from the diner roof directly behind them. Marcus froze in horror. It crawled on all fours like a giant spider, its limbs twisting unnaturally as rainwater ran down its pale skin. Its face shifted rapidly between different people. Then it smiled. The truck accelerated across the muddy lot, while the creature charged after them with terrifying speed. Marcus looked through the rear window. More figures were emerging from the swamp trees now. tall human-shaped things breathing slowly in the darkness. "Ahah, ahah, there's more of them?" Marcus whispered. The waitress looked pale. Those were people once. The truck sped back onto the highway. Nobody spoke for nearly a minute, except for the sound of rain and heavy breathing from everyone inside the cab. Finally, Marcus looked at the old trucker. "You better start explaining." The old man kept his eyes on the road. "Your company transports that thing across state lines every few years." Marcus stared at him. "What thing?" "We call it cargo." "That doesn't explain anything." The waitress spoke quietly. "Nobody knows exactly where it came from. Some say miners found underground decades ago. It feeds on people," the old trucker added, "but not flesh first." Marcus frowned. "What does that mean?" The trucker looked at him through the mirror. "It eats guilt." Marcus remembered Emily's voice outside the trailer and felt cold all over again. Suddenly, the CB radio crackled alive. "Ron, Marcus's dispatcher." "Marcus, why did you stop the route?" Marcus grabbed the microphone angrily. "What did you people put in my truck?" Static hissed. Then Ron answered calmly. "You were supposed to keep driving. That thing killed people." A pause. Then Ron's voice became colder. "It kills more if delivery fails." The radio died. Marcus stared at the microphone in disbelief. The waitress looked terrified now. "That's bad." "What's bad?" "If the company contacted you directly," she whispered, "it means cargo marked you." The breathing sound suddenly returned. Inside the truck, Marcus slowly looked behind him toward the sleeper compartment curtain. Something moved underneath it. A long, pale hand slid across the floor. The waitress screamed. The curtain exploded outward. The creature lunged from the darkness behind them. Marcus barely saw it clearly. Too many limbs. Too many faces moving beneath skin. It slammed into the waitress instantly, dragging her backward into the sleeper compartment. Blood sprayed across the ceiling. Marcus heard screaming, then chewing. Wet tearing sounds filled the truck cab. The old trucker fought to keep control of the wheel, while Marcus grabbed a roadside flare gun mounted near the dashboard. The creature crawled forward slowly from the darkness behind them. Blood covered its shifting face. It smiled using Emily's eyes. "You should have visited me." Marcus fired the flare gun directly into its mouth. The creature shrieked violently as flames burst across its face. The truck swerved hard. The old trucker yelled, "Hold on." The semi smashed through a highway guardrail and plunged straight into the swamp below. The truck crashed into the swamp with a deafening explosion of metal and water. Marcus slammed against the dashboard as freezing black water flooded the cab. Glass shattered around him while the truck rolled sideways into thick mud. Then everything went silent. For a moment, Marcus could only hear ringing in his ears and rain pounding against the wreckage above. "Marcus!" the old trucker shouted weakly. Marcus coughed hard and pushed himself upright. The cab rested half submerged in swamp water, while smoke hissed from the ruined engine. The sleeper compartment behind them was dark. Too dark. No sound came from inside anymore. The waitress was gone. Marcus forced open the damaged passenger door and climbed out into waist-deep swamp water beneath heavy rain. The old trucker followed, carrying the revolver tightly in his shaking hands. "We need to move," he muttered. Marcus looked around nervously. Fog drifted between dead trees, while swamp water reflected flashes of lightning overhead. Then they heard it, breathing, all around them. Shapes slowly appeared through the fog. Tall figures standing motionless between the trees. Human-shaped, but wrong. Their chests expanded unnaturally wide with every breath. Marcus felt panic rising inside him. "What are those things?" The old trucker kept backing away slowly. People cargo emptied. The figures began moving toward them together with jerking, unnatural motions. One of them tilted its head, then spoke in a little girl's voice. "Help us." Another spoke using an old man's voice. "We're still hungry." Marcus nearly stumbled backward. The creatures kept approaching through the swamp water. Eyeless faces, open mouths, breathing endlessly. "Run!" the trucker shouted. They splashed through the swamp as thunder shook the sky above them. Branches snapped beneath their feet, while the breathing creatures followed silently behind. Marcus could hear them getting closer. Ha-ha, ha-ha. Then suddenly, Marcus. Emily's voice echoed through the fog. Marcus froze instantly. Please. The old trucker grabbed his arm violently. Don't stop. But Marcus's heart pounded painfully in his chest. It sounded exactly like her. Weak. Terrified. I'm here. The voice came from deeper in the swamp. Marcus turned toward it despite himself, and saw Emily standing beneath a dead tree. Rain soaked her pale hospital gown, while her dark hair covered part of her face. Marcus stopped breathing. Emily, the old trucker raised a revolver immediately. That's not her. Emily slowly looked up. Tears ran down her face. Why didn't you come see me? Marcus felt guilt crash into him like a wave. He remembered the hospital calls he ignored during long delivery routes. The last voicemail she sent before dying. The creature stepped closer slowly. You left me alone. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry. Emily smiled, and her jaw suddenly stretched too wide. Bones cracked loudly beneath her skin. The old trucker fired instantly. Bang! The creature shrieked as its appearance shattered for a second, revealing black flesh beneath moving human faces trapped inside it. Marcus stumbled backward in horror. The thing lunged forward with impossible speed. Its arms stretched unnaturally long toward the trucker. Bang! Bang! The bullets barely slowed it. The creature slammed into the old man, knocking him into the swamp water. Marcus heard ribs crack loudly. The revolver disappeared beneath the mud. The creature crouched over the trucker slowly. Then it spoke using the trucker's own voice. You killed your son. The old man froze completely. Marcus stared at him in shock. Tears filled the trucker's eyes instantly. I didn't mean to. The creature smiled wider. You drove drunk. Marcus realized a horrible truth. It knew their guilt. It fed on it. The creature leaned closer to the old trucker's face. Its mouth opened impossibly wide, revealing darkness filled with moving human faces breathing together inside its throat. The trucker stopped resisting, almost hypnotized. Marcus grabbed a broken tree branch nearby and charged forward, smashing across the creature's head. The thing screeched violently. Run! Marcus shouted. The old trucker staggered to his feet, and both men sprinted deeper into the swamp while the creature screamed behind them. Eventually, they spotted an old ruined church rising through the fog. Half the roof had collapsed, and dead vines covered the broken walls. Marcus pushed open the wooden doors and stumbled inside. Candles flickered softly in the darkness, and someone was already there. An old blind woman sat beside the altar holding a lantern. She slowly turned toward Marcus. You brought it here, she whispered. Marcus backed away nervously. Who are you? The woman ignored the question. Did it speak using someone you loved? Marcus nodded slowly. The old woman sighed sadly. It always does. Outside, the breathing grew louder around the church. The old trucker slammed the doors shut. Marcus looked at the woman desperately. What'd I ask that thing? The blind woman touched the floor gently. Long ago, people found something buried beneath the swamp. Thunder shook the church windows. They thought hunger could be controlled. A loud knock suddenly echoed through the church. Thump. Everyone froze. Then Emily's voice whispered softly from outside the doors. Marcus, let me in. The church doors shook again. Thump, thump. Rain hammered the broken roof, while candle flames flickered wildly around the room. Marcus stood frozen near the altar, staring at the entrance. Marcus. Emily's voice whispered softly from outside. Please. The old blind woman tightened her grip on the lantern. Do not answer it. Marcus swallowed hard. That thing knows everything about me. It knows guilt, she replied quietly. That's how it enters people. Another violent slam hit the doors. Would crack loudly. The old trucker backed away nervously. It never came this close before. The blind woman slowly stood up. That's because it's starving. Marcus frowned. What does that mean? The woman looked toward him with her white, blind eyes. For years your company fed it travelers and drivers to keep it asleep. Marcus stared at her in disbelief. "You're saying my company sacrifices people?" Before she could answer, the church window suddenly shattered inward. Wind and rain exploded through the room. The breathing outside became deafening. Ha-ha, ha-ha. Dark shadows moved around the church walls. The breathing figures had surrounded the building. The old trucker whispered, "We're trapped." Then silence fell instantly. Complete silence. The blind woman's face turned pale. "Oh no!" Marcus looked around nervously. "What?" The candles dimmed one by one. Then a soft voice came from behind him. "Marcus." He slowly turned. Emily stood inside the church. Rainwater dripped from her hospital gown, while tears rolled down her face. Marcus felt his chest tighten painfully. She looked completely real. "Emily," the blind woman shouted instantly, "don't go near it." But Marcus barely heard her. Emily stepped closer slowly. "Why didn't you come back for me?" Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "I tried." "No," she whispered sadly. "You chose the road." The guilt hit him like a knife. He remembered ignoring her calls during deliveries, missing her final moments. The creature smiled softly, using Emily's face. Then her neck twisted sideways with a loud crack. Its jaw stretched wider. Skin rippled unnaturally beneath her face as other human faces briefly appeared underneath. The illusion broke. Marcus stumbled backward in horror. The creature laughed with hundreds of layered voices. "You carry so much pain." The old trucker suddenly grabbed a fallen wooden cross on the floor and swung at the creature. The thing caught him instantly. Its arms stretched unnaturally long around his throat. Then it whispered using the trucker's own voice. "You killed your family." The old man froze. Marcus saw terror consume his face. The creature leaned closer. "It still hurts, doesn't it?" The trucker stopped fighting completely. Almost hypnotized, the blind woman pulled a strange knife covered in carved symbols from beneath her robe. "Move!" she shouted. She stabbed the creature directly in the chest. The monster shrieked so loudly the church walls shook. Black liquid poured from the wound, while faces beneath its skin screamed silently. For the first time, the creature looked afraid. Marcus noticed something horrifying inside the wound. People, human faces trapped beneath layers of flesh. Still moving, still alive. The creature slammed the blind woman across the room violently. She crashed into the altar and collapsed. The knife slid across the floor. The monster turned toward Marcus slowly. Now its body shifted uncontrollably between different shapes and faces. Emily, the waitress, children, truck drivers, all trapped inside it. "You cannot kill hunger," it whispered. Then the church floor suddenly collapsed beneath Marcus, which shattered loudly. He fell into darkness below. Marcus hit wet ground hard beneath the church. Pain shot through his shoulder. Above him, pieces of wood crashed into the underground chamber around him. Marcus grabbed the fallen lantern nearby and raised it slowly. His blood turned cold. Tunnels stretched endlessly beneath the swamp, and the walls looked alive. They pulsed slowly like breathing flesh. Human bodies hung from black vines attached to the ceiling and walls. Some were still breathing weakly. One man opened hollow eyes toward Marcus. "Help us." Marcus stepped backward in horror. "What is this place?" The prisoner's lips trembled. "It keeps us alive while it feeds." Whispers echoed throughout the tunnels. "It eats memories first, then guilt. It never lets you die." Marcus's breathing became shaky. Then he heard movement above him, slow crawling sounds. He looked up. The creature crawled across the tunnel ceiling upside down like a spider, its body now enormous. Thousands of faces moved beneath its skin, and near the center, Emily's face stared directly at him. The creature smiled. "You finally came to visit her." The creature crawled slowly across the ceiling above Marcus, while the underground tunnels breathed around him like a living body. Thousands of faces shifted beneath its skin, some crying, some screaming silently. And near the center of its chest, Emily's face stared directly at him. "Help me," she whispered weakly. Marcus nearly broke. Every part of him wanted to believe she was still alive inside that thing. But then he remembered what the blind woman said. It feeds on guilt. The creature lowered itself closer. You left her alone. Marcus clenched his fists tightly. You're not her. The monster smiled wider. But I remember her perfectly. The trapped people hanging from the tunnel walls suddenly began whispering all around him. Don't listen. It wants you to give up. If it breaks you, you stay forever. Marcus backed away slowly until his foot hit something metal buried in the mud. The strange knife. The same knife the blind woman used upstairs. The carved symbols on the blade glowed faintly blue. The creature immediately stopped moving. For the first time, Marcus saw fear in its shifting faces. You don't understand what you're doing, it whispered. Marcus grabbed the knife tightly. You killed all these people. No, the creature replied calmly. They fed me willingly. The breathing around the tunnels grew louder. Hiya! The creature's body expanded unnaturally wide. I remove pain, it whispered using Emily's voice again. I take guilt away. Marcus's grip tightened harder around the knife. You trap people forever. The creature tilted its head slowly. Humans trapped themselves. Then it lunged. Its massive body crashed toward Marcus with horrifying speed. Long arms stretched through the darkness, while faces beneath its skin screamed violently. Marcus dodged barely in time and drove the knife into the creature's side. The symbols ignited bright white instantly. The monster shrieked. Black blood exploded across the walls, and suddenly the trapped faces beneath its flesh began pushing outward. Human hands burst through its skin. The hanging prisoners throughout the tunnel started screaming as the walls shook violently around them. The creature thrashed wildly across the underground chamber. You cannot kill hunger, it roared. Marcus pulled the knife free. The glowing crack spread across the monster's body rapidly now. The prisoners shouted desperately. Finish it. The creature slammed Marcus against the wall hard enough to crack stone. Pain exploded through his ribs, but he forced himself back to his feet. Then he saw it. At the center of the creature's chest was a giant pulsing organ, breathing like a massive heart. The creature noticed Marcus staring at it and smiled. Emily's face appeared again beneath its skin. I waited for you. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. Then he charged forward. The creature lunged too. At the last second, Marcus drove the glowing knife directly into the breathing organ. Everything stopped. The breathing ceased instantly. Silence filled the tunnels. Then the creature screamed louder than thunder. Its body began collapsing inward violently, while glowing cracks spread across every inch of black flesh. The tunnel walls ruptured. Water burst through from every direction. The swamp above was collapsing into the underground chamber. Marcus ran while the creature shrieked behind him. The trapped prisoners fell free from the walls as floodwater rushed through the tunnels. The monster's body twisted and folded into itself, while thousands of stolen voices screamed together. Marcus climbed desperately toward a small opening where moonlight shined through broken earth above. Behind him, the creature let out one final breath. Then silence. The entire underground chamber collapsed beneath the swamp. Marcus barely pulled himself on a solid ground before the earth behind him exploded inward with black water and mud. The breathing was finally gone. 3 days later, Marcus sat alone inside a roadside motel outside Savannah, Georgia. Police searched the swamp for 2 days. They found nothing. No church, no truck, no bodies. The shipping company Marcus worked for had disappeared overnight. Every office abandoned. Every employee gone. Like it never existed. Nobody believed Marcus's story. Eventually, the police stopped asking questions. But Marcus still couldn't sleep, because sometimes late at night, he heard breathing outside motel windows. Very faint, very far away. Last night, he found words written across his bathroom mirror after showering. Delivery still pending. Marcus left the motel immediately. Now he drives endlessly from town to town, without stopping too long anywhere. And sometimes, on empty highways after midnight, he sees trucks behind him with no headlights, their trailers moving slightly, as if something inside is still breathing.